Ever signed up for a credit card just for those, sweet travel points? Already picturing yourself sipping a cocktail somewhere exotic?
Oh, yeah.
And then the statement arrives, and you kind of think, wait a minute, did I actually win this transaction?
That classic moment, isn't it? Realizing the shiny promise might have some hidden complexities.
Exactly. And untangling those complexities is really what we're all about here. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a plunge into a stack of recent information aggregated by Consumers.App, specifically pulled from May 31st, 2025.
Right. Our mission, like always, is to slice through all that noise. We're here to pull out those crucial nuggets of knowledge, the potentially surprising insights.
Giving you a shortcut, right?
Yeah, a shortcut to being genuinely well-informed on topics that truly impact your daily life.
And today, we've got quite the range. We're starting right there with personal finance, navigating those tempting travel rewards.
Always tempting.
Then we're shifting into your personal well-being, looking at healthy living and muscle health.
Important stuff.
And finally, we're peering into the sort of invisible tech that gets goods from warehouses all the way to your front door.
It's a real look at the forces shaping modern consumption, from our personal choices right up to global systems.
Okay, let's kick things off with that financial puzzle then. We're looking at information based on reporting headlined Travel Points via Credit Card. Smart strategy, or are we being deceived?
That's a great headline.
Yeah, it's from 24/7 Wall Street on MSN.com.
And it perfectly frames the question so many of us grapple with. I mean, on one hand, the allure is undeniable, right?
Totally.
The consumers research we looked at highlights all those attractive perks. The rewards themselves, travel credits, built-in insurance, those massive sign-up bonuses.
They make it sound like a free ticket to savings.
They really do. But the research immediately zeroes in on the major potential pitfall.
Which is?
The risk of debt. It points out how chasing points or, trying to meet those spending minimums can actually encourage you to spend more than you otherwise would.
Right, more than you planned. And if you don't pay that balance off.
Well, that's precisely where the value just evaporates and the cost escalates. The research indicates that travel cards often carry higher interest rates than your standard cards.
Ah, okay.
So any debt you rack up, getting those points ends up costing you way more in interest than the value of the rewards you earned. It can quickly turn a win into a real financial drain.
Okay, so points can definitely contribute to debt, but is there any scenario where they could actually help manage finances or maybe even debt?
It sounds counterintuitive, yeah, but the research suggests a disciplined approach can make it possible.
How so?
Like using the rewards you earn to cover travel expenses you were going to pay for anyway.
Yeah.
That frees up cash.
Right, cash you can use elsewhere.
Exactly. That cash can then be directed towards other financial goals, maybe paying down existing debt faster. But the critical point is you must have the financial discipline. Stick to your budget and never take on more debt just for the points. That's the key.
That connects directly to consumer behavior, doesn't it? The research brings up something. Weighing anchor on credit card debt. What was the surprising insight there about why people struggle to pay down balances?
Oh, this is fascinating. Drawing from research like that, it shows how the way information is presented profoundly influences our choices.
Oh.
Specifically, if the minimum payment is highlighted or just presented as the default option, people tend to anchor onto that number.
And just pay the minimum.
Right. They only pay that. The research suggests that changing how payment options are displayed, like making larger payments or paying in full more prominent, can actually de-anchor people from that minimum.
Interesting.
It encourages bigger payments, leading to better debt reduction. It's a powerful nudge, really.
And speaking of payment trends, the research also touched on buy now, pay later, especially when it gets layered onto credit cards. What's the concern there?
Yeah, the source buy now, pay later, BNPL, on your credit card highlights a worry. BNPL's big appeal is those interest-free installments, right? But if you charge a BNPL purchase to your credit card, and then you can't pay off that card balance in full, you suddenly owe typical credit card interest on the BNPL amount. So the research raises a flag about consumers' overall repayment capacity. When you combine these kinds of credit, it could potentially lead to accumulating, unmanageable unsecured debt.
Wow. Okay, so given all this complexity, what's the practical takeaway for someone listening right now? How do you actually use these cards as a smart tool, not a trap?
Well, based on the analysis from sources like data analysis on credit card debt, the strategies are pretty clear and grounded in financial literacy.
Like what?
It really comes down to consistent financial education, maintaining a strict budget, using credit responsibly, which means, only spending what you can immediately pay off, and critically seeking professional help if you feel overwhelmed.
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Exactly. The goal, as the research implies, is to empower yourself financially. Use credit cards as a tool for convenience or rewards, not as a crutch or a source of stress.
And it's not just on us, the consumers, right? Financial institutions have a role too.
Absolutely. The research definitely notes their significant responsibility. This includes offering accessible educational resources, setting prudent lending standards,
Makes sense.
providing useful budgeting tools, and maybe, most importantly, ensuring truly transparent marketing. Marketing that doesn't mislead consumers into taking on debt they just can't handle.
So, understanding these forces, the allure, the hidden costs, those psychological nudges, the layering of debt, it helps you look past the shiny points offer and make a genuinely informed decision about if a card is right for you and how to use it wisely.
It's about shifting from being purely attracted by the reward to understanding the entire financial picture.
Yeah. Okay, let's completely change gears now, but stay focused on consumer choices. This time, it's about personal well-being. Our next topic, based on reporting from Sunstar, is headlined, "A Holistic Approach to Health and Beauty."
Okay, so this takes us into the burgeoning world of organic cosmetics. What's driving this trend, according to the Consumers research?
Yeah, what's the draw?
Well, a major draw seems to be the focus on using natural ingredients with fewer synthetic chemicals.
Okay.
This often translates to a reduced risk of irritation, especially for sensitive skin, and fewer potentially harmful residues, which is seen as a win-win, really, for personal health and the environment.
And there's also the alignment with values, right? Like cruelty-free practices and leaning towards recyclable packaging.
Precisely. Now, the research also directly tackles a common skepticism. This idea that organic somehow means less effective.
Right, I've heard that.
It counters this by highlighting that organic products aren't just, benign. They can offer genuine nutritional benefits to the skin and are formulated to be gentle.
Interesting.
Now, it's true that not all conventional cosmetics are bad, and organic isn't some universal guarantee of perfect safety for absolutely everyone. But the research points to the movement's emphasis on potentially nourishing and less harsh ingredients overall.
The research specifically calls out an ingredient here, gallic acid. What did they find about that?
Ah, yes. Gallic acid. It's spotlighted as a powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compound.
Okay.
And it's finding its way into what they call cosmeceuticals products, designed to offer both cosmetic and therapeutic benefits.
Right.
The research notes it's recognized as safe by the FDA and points to its role in addressing skin issues like damage from UV exposure, pollution, pigmentation irregularities, and signs of aging.
How does it do that?
Primarily by reducing oxidative stress in skin cells. And apparently innovations in how these compounds are delivered, like using nanoformulations, are reportedly boosting their stability and effectiveness too.
So it sounds like the organic movement itself is really reshaping the industry.
It absolutely is. The research confirms this movement is a significant driver of consumer demand for products that are perceived as safer and more environmentally friendly.
And that demand pushes companies.
Exactly. This demand, in turn, pushes manufacturers across the board to adopt more sustainable practices, influencing everything from how they source ingredients to their packaging choices.
And this increasing demand is linked back to more informed consumers, people knowing more.
Yes. The research highlights that the growth in demand is fueled by increasing consumer awareness. Awareness about potential health and environmental concerns associated with some synthetic ingredients.
So people are actively looking for alternatives.
Yeah, they're actively seeking alternatives that align better with their priorities for safety, product efficacy, and environmental impact.
Okay, so how does all this information help you when you're standing in that, sometimes overwhelming health and beauty aisle?
Well, it empowers you to look past the buzzwords, right?
Yeah.
And understand the substance behind them.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you see why the shift towards organic is happening, what the potential benefits are, fewer synthetics, gentleness, environmental factors, and to recognize that effectiveness isn't necessarily sacrificed.
Right, like with the gallic acid example.
Exactly. Ingredients like gallic acid show therapeutic potential, so it equips you to ask more informed questions about ingredients and make choices that align with what matters most to you for your health and your values.
That's a great perspective. Okay, from what we put on our bodies to what we do with them, let's move to our third topic. This one is based on reporting headlined 3 science-backed ways to stop muscle loss before it starts. Sarcopenia prevention. From Eating Well on MSN.com.
Sarcopenia. This headline brings up a really crucial health challenge, particularly as we age.
And it's not just general muscle weakness, right?
No, research is very clear on this. It defines sarcopenia as a specific degenerative loss of skeletal muscle mass, quality, and strength that's particularly linked to aging and also periods of immobility.
So it's different from other kinds of muscle loss.
Yeah, it's distinct from muscle loss due to a specific disease, which is called cachexia, or just general disuse atrophy from not being active enough. This is age-related decline. Yeah.
Okay, an age-specific decline. And the research puts a big emphasis on prevention. Why is getting ahead of this so important?
This is a key insight from the research.
Sure.
It emphasizes that the muscle mass and strength you build and maintain in your younger and middle-aged years, sort of your peak muscle mass, that significantly impacts your muscle health and function later in life. So proactive choices now are essentially an investment in your future mobility. It's really important.
And the 2 main strategies discussed are nutrition and exercise. No big surprise there, maybe.
Exactly. They're the twin pillars, according to the research. Adequate nutritional support, specifically focusing on sufficient protein intake and potentially vitamin D supplementation, is shown to support muscle strength.
Okay, protein and vitamin D.
Right. And meanwhile, resistance or strength training is highlighted for its role in improving physical function and maintaining muscle mass.
And doing both is best.
Crucially, yes. The research indicates that the combination of both nutrition and exercise is significantly more effective than relying on either one alone. It really underscores the need for lifelong adherence to a high-quality diet and regular physical activity.
Let's focus on protein for a second. The research highlights its vital importance, especially for older adults. Why is that?
Yeah, protein is absolutely fundamental for muscle protein synthesis and repair, basically, building and maintaining muscle tissue.
Got it.
The research points to the importance of not just overall protein intake, but also the quality of protein, specifically mentioning the benefits of leucine-rich sources.
Leucine-rich? Like what?
Things like whey protein, meat, fish, dairy, soy. But it's not one size fits all. The research suggests tailored dietary plans are often recommended for optimal results and adherence, particularly as our needs change with age.
The research also briefly touched on some cutting-edge science happening in this field. What's going on there?
Right. Researchers are diving deep into some complex biological mechanisms. They're looking at how the tiny powerhouses inside muscle cells function. That's mitochondrial dysfunction.
Okay.
The signaling molecules muscles produce, called myokines, and how nerves connect to muscles, the neuromuscular junction, trying to understand the roots of sarcopenia.
Sounds complicated.
It is. But while it's still being explored, promising clinical interventions are being investigated. Things like highly personalized nutrition approaches and maybe potential future therapies like stem cell or exosome treatments. Still early days for some of that, though.
It sounds like even places like hospitals need to be mindful of this muscle loss issue.
They absolutely do. The research discusses preventing something called iatrogenic sarcopenia.
Iatrogenic.
Yeah. That's muscle loss actually caused or worsened by healthcare interventions themselves, often through prolonged dead rest, without supportive measures. So healthcare facilities can counteract this by ensuring proper nutritional support and implementing early mobility and exercise programs for patients during their stay. Get people moving.
Looking at the bigger picture, what are the public health implications of sarcopenia, particularly with our aging population?
Oh, it's a significant and growing public health challenge. Sarcopenia is a major contributor to disability, falls, frailty, and increased healthcare costs in older adults. Huge impact.
So what can be done?
Well, the research highlights the need for communities to proactively respond, promoting awareness of the issue, encouraging healthy lifestyles, emphasizing consistent balanced nutrition and exercise right from a young age, and supporting ongoing research to find more effective prevention and treatment strategies.
So why should this matter to you, the listener, whether you're, say, 25 or 75?
Because the research makes it pretty clear. Your choices now directly impact your physical independence and quality of life decades down the line.
It's a long game.
Exactly. Investing in your muscle health through diet and exercise isn't just about today. It's about ensuring you can maintain your mobility, your strength, your vitality as you age. It's really never too early or, frankly, too late to start thinking about it.
That's a powerful motivation. Okay, for our final deep dive today, we're going to zoom out from the personal to the global, looking at something kind of invisible but crucial to how modern goods get to us. The headline from Reuters is AI in the supply chain.
Right. AI is truly revolutionizing this incredibly complex system. The research describes it as fundamentally changing how supply chains are managed.
In what way?
Well, the core goal is optimization, making everything more efficient, reducing costs, and ultimately making sure you get what you want when you want it, improving customer satisfaction.
How does it do that, like specifically?
It achieves this by doing things like predicting future demand with much greater accuracy, enabling smarter inventory management, optimizing logistics routes, and providing real-time visibility into where things are.
Okay, that visibility piece. How does AI give companies a better handle on where everything is?
Yeah, that's the supply chain visibility part. AI helps track shipments and inventory across these vast networks in real time. But what's particularly interesting, the research points out, is how generative AI is enhancing this.
Generative AI, how?
It's improving something called relationship prediction within what are known as knowledge graphs.
Knowledge graphs?
Yeah, think of a knowledge graph like a super smart, interconnected map of the entire supply chain, showing how everything relates. Generative AI helps understand those relationships much more deeply.
Ah, I see.
Which improves precise risk management by capturing subtle connections that humans or, older systems might completely miss.
So it understands the whole web of connections better than ever before.
Exactly. It helps anticipate how a disruption in one tiny part of the chain might ripple out and affect another part miles away or weeks later.
And can AI actually help make these massive supply chains less impactful on the environment? Can it make them greener?
Yes. Definitely. It's a significant factor in sustainability efforts. The research notes that AI-powered models can optimize how trucks are loaded and the routes they take.
Fewer miles driven.
Right, which directly reduces fuel consumption and those associated emissions. And by improving planning and forecasting, AI also helps reduce waste. Less overstocking means less product potentially going unsold or being disposed of.
That makes sense.
It can also pinpoint energy-saving opportunities within warehouses and logistics operations themselves.
How does AI change the big strategic decisions companies make in their supply chains?
Well, it fundamentally enhances decision-making because it can process and analyze absolutely massive amounts of data in real time, far beyond what any human team could do.
Right.
This leads to much more accurate demand forecasting, allowing firms to react much faster and more effectively to sudden crises or shifts in market conditions. It can even suggest strategic policy adjustments based on identifying complex trends, like things driven by seasonality or broad macroeconomic factors.
So generative AI isn't just for writing emails or creating images. It's having tangible effects in areas like predicting these relationships and managing risk.
Precisely. As the research highlights, integrating generative AI is proving to be a powerful tool in this space. It improves those relationship predictions, which boosts visibility and enables more precise risk management by really digging into the complex, interdependent sort of semantic relationships within the supply network.
But it's not all smooth sailing, I assume. There must be challenges.
Oh, absolutely. The research acknowledges there are complexities, issues like how information flows sometimes imperfectly between different companies in the chain, and how early design choices for a product impact downstream processes later on. These are still areas being actively studied. Researchers are modeling these sophisticated AI-driven supply chains using structures like directed graphs to better understand and optimize them.
So still work to do.
Definitely. And they emphasize the need for continued research into the broader social, economic, regulatory, and technical implications of all this AI integration.
So why should the average listener care about something as seemingly abstract as AI in the supply chain?
Because it directly impacts your everyday life in ways you might not even notice. This technology plays a huge role in determining whether the products you want are actually available on the shelf or online.
Okay, yeah.
How much they cost, and even the environmental footprint of getting them from where they were made all the way to your home. Understanding AI's role gives you insight into this complex, invisible system that underpins virtually everything you buy and consume.
Wow. We've covered a remarkable amount of ground today, haven't we?
We really have.
From the very personal choices you make about credit and how you care for your body to these vast, often unseen technological systems powered by AI that get goods to your doorstep, all filtered through the insights aggregated by Consumers.App.
It really shows how deeply interconnected our individual lives are with these broader market forces and technological shifts. It's quite something.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive today. As we look back at everything from personal spending habits, maybe shaped by card design, to the ingredients in your skincare, the muscle health you're building now, and even the AI powering the delivery truck, bringing your next online order. It's clear the consumer landscape could just layer complexity. So here's a thought to leave you with. What's one area, based on what we've discussed today, where you feel maybe a little more empowered to dig just a bit deeper, or perhaps make a slightly different choice?
Yeah, something to consider as you navigate the world around you.
Like and subscribe Consumers360.